About to begin again, but there were a couple people who asked me over the break how this event got started, how Big Animals got started, and I thought I would tell you guys the story of how it started. It was about 15 years ago, and Fran Cannon's wife, Fran, raise your hand. Fran Cannon's wife called me up and said, would you wear an animal costume at an event for children? It's a kids with cancer, and it's a bear costume, and it's got a heart on it. It's called the Love Bear. I'd like you to do it. And I was on the phone with her, and I was like, okay. I don't know what made me say okay, but I did. And so there I am down at the Embarcadero. It's an event for kids with cancer. It's called the Celebration of Champions. And I'm walking around in this bear costume. It's hot, it's a fur costume, and about a little further than that door, maybe half again as far, there was a group of kids and a couple of adults. And the littlest kid had his hand like this, and he was bored, you know, and he's looking around, and he spotted me. And when he spotted me, he dropped his father's hand, he started yelling and running right toward me. And he ran right into my arms, followed by all of his friends. There was about 6 or 7 little boys. And the next thing I knew, I was on the ground, and they're climbing all over me, and I'm kicking this one, I'm throwing them, and they're climbing back. I felt like I was 7 years old. It was the most fun I had had in a long time. Here I am, you know, like a middle-aged adult businessman, and I'm crawling around on the ground. It was really a lot of fun. So we get done doing that, and I stood up, and the little one, the littlest one, he looked up and he saw under the mask, and he goes, "There's a man in there!" I was like, oh my God. They didn't know. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So anyway, I'm walking around at this same event a little while later, and all the kids want to hug the bear, you know, so I'm hugging the kids. And then this teenage girl comes up, and she wants a hug. And as soon as she's in my arms, she started to cry. And she's crying, she's sobbing, and she won't stop. And I don't know what to do. So after, like what seemed like a long time to me, I said to her, "Why are you crying?" She said, "I'm crying for my brother." "Is he here?" She said, "No, he died last year, but he loved this event so much, we came here for him." So when she said that, I started to cry. Now the two of us are crying, and we're hugging, and we're crying, and tears are flowing, and this went on for a while, and until we both kind of dried up, and then she kind of looked up at me, you know, and she gave me this little half smile, and turned away and walked away, and I never saw her again. But then I thought to myself, there's real magic in these costumes. I mean, it breaks down the barriers between people. This wasn't going to happen if I was wearing street clothes. Those kids weren't going to play with me. She certainly wasn't going to share her grief and be able to unload her grief like that if I was in street clothes. So it was just a little while after that some of my friends got together and said, "Hey, let's do this." And so that's how Big Animals started. And you know, I love what it is. That's what, and we do all these events, and all that magic happens to a lot of kids. You know, there's something else I wanted to tell you about tonight. You know, Big Animals is always looking for money, right, to continue doing our good work. And about 6 months or a year ago, a friend of mine, Rick Rutstein, would you raise your hand, Rick? Rick's not a member of Big Animals. He's a friend, and he said to me, he and Annie, his who used to work with Rick, said to me, "You know what you need? You need something like you know, I'm paying for a kid in Ethiopia, so you adopt a child in Ethiopia." So they said, "You know what? You need to do it like an adopt a big animal, and like where people make donations and it happens automatically on your credit card every month. You don't have to think about it." And I said, "Geez, that's a great idea." And Rick and Annie put their money where their mouth is, and they're our first two big animal adoptees. And they've adopted big animals, and there's, we'll tell you more about that later. You can pick a flyer or talk to any one of us if you're interested in doing something like that. We'd love to have you. And with that, can we play some more bingo?
Yeah.